Welcome back to season 8, episode 10. This actually is wrapping up our regular season, but stay tuned because after this episode, we will have a top 10 of 2025. But today we have an interesting film for you. But before we do that, Maniac had a really interesting idea about our quick cuts. So I'll let him explain before we get into that.
Yeah, so I thought we're a few weeks away from Christmas. And so instead of just doing our regular quick cut of something we've watched recently, I thought it might be fun to do a holiday film shout out. So something that's festive for the season.
Indeed.
So we each picked a Christmas themed horror film, as there's actually a decent amount of them.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of holiday horror, actually.
There is.
Yeah.
So I thought that might just be kind of fun.
Yeah. So there have been, let's be clear about this, many bad holiday horror films. However, one of the, I don't know if this was like the first one, but it's in that time period, I guess, where the first sort of holiday slashers came out. And this is Black Christmas, 1974, an hour and 38 minutes.
Not the 2019 one.
No. I have a statement about the remakes.
Okay.
So this is 7.1 on IMDb, 71 and 76% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, if you like Christmas movies and you've seen the movie A Christmas Story, you'll shoot your eye out, kid. Or if you're of a certain age, you may have seen the movie Porky's in the early 80s. Bob Clark is the director of all three of those films, Black Christmas, Christmas Story, and Porky's. A very odd combination.
Yeah, I don't think many people know that the same director of Christmas Story also did Black Christmas, which is super cool.
So this is, as far as I know, a wholly Canadian cast, but the big guns in this one were Olivia Hussey, Margot Kidder, Andrea Martin, believe it or not, before comedy, and John Saxon, who was kind of a staple in the 70s of Canadian film, but also you may recognize him if you watch the film because he was in either Fists of Fury or Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee. Anyway, summary. As winter break begins, a group of sorority sisters, including Jess, and the often inebriated Barb, played by Margot Kidder, begin to receive anonymous, lascivious phone calls. Initially, Barb eggs the caller on, but stops when he responds threateningly. Soon, Barb's friend Claire goes missing from the sorority house, and a local adolescent girl is murdered, leading the girls to suspect a serial killer is on the loose, but no one realizes just how near the culprit is. There's some really cool things about the 1970s. There's a scene in the film which I think is really cool because I don't think now we would even think about this, but they're trying to trace the call.
Yeah.
And they have to, so it's a physical phone exchange, like with wires and stuff. And anyway, I just find it really fascinating because I remember that. Yes, I'm so old. Okay. The critics suggest that this rare slasher with enough intelligence to wind up the tension between bloody outbursts, Black Christmas offers fiendishly enjoyable holiday viewing for genre fans. I think this is the proto-slasher. It might not be, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say it's the first, but it's near the first. Mm-hmm. And I would go out on a limb and say that John Carpenter had seen this film before he made Halloween 1978, although I don't think he's ever admitted to that connection.
The first-person POV at the beginning.
Yeah, totally. And that's the other thing I want to mention is that was one of the first, if not the first, use of the killer POV. Anyway, I highly recommend the original 1974, but not the remakes. Most of them are garbage, but especially the 2019 one, stay away from.
And we did in season 2, I believe, we did a whole season of original versus remakes. Yes. And we did a Black Christmas episode where we compared it to not the 2019, but the
2006 maybe?
Yeah. The second one.
Yes.
So maybe we can link to that. That's before we were doing YouTube. That's just on Spotify.
True. Yeah.
Just audio, but it's a great movie.
It is a good movie. And excuse me for not being a gentleman and letting you go first.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I would say, I picked something different, but I think that would be my favorite Christmas horror film.
Black Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally mine too.
It's a high recommend, so great choice. All right. So mine is not Canadian, but it is a French-Belgian film called The Advent Calendar from 2021. It was good, yeah. So this was directed by Patrick Redermont And the main actor is Eugenie Derouand. I shouldn't have picked a film with
I was going to say your pronunciation is bang
French
on.
names. Yeah, my French is subpar. So the synopsis: Eva, a former dancer who has been paraplegic for 3 years and now uses a wheelchair, receives a mysterious antique advent calendar from her friend Sophie on her birthday. Rather than treats, each door of the calendar unleashes increasingly strange, often terrifying, and sometimes deadly consequences. As Eva's deepest wish to walk again becomes within reach, she must grapple with the horrific moral price the calendar demands. This has a 6.3 on Internet Movie Database and an 82% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. This is just a really fun concept,
Yes.
unique concept. I think you and I have commented that we kind of like the European films just because they have a different feel and aesthetic than your kind of more polished Hollywood fare.
Yeah.
And this one's just really, it's good. It's interesting. So every time she opens another door, something happens.
I've not seen a film like this before, like with this concept and with this execution.
Totally. It's a brilliant idea for a horror film.
Very unique.
And made an impact when I saw it, I guess, in 2021. So yeah, I'd highly recommend the Advent Calendar if you can find it. It's probably not as accessible as something like Black Christmas.
Yeah.
Just because was it on Shudder?
It was streaming at one point. Yeah. So it, depending on your region, it may be streaming where you are, but
if you're looking for something with some European flair and something a little more unorthodox and different, then I think the Advent Calendar is a very good one.
absolutely. Good pick.
So there's some
Good pick.
Christmas quick cuts for you.
I think I've mentioned it in a previous episode, but my older son and I often, almost always, for maybe the last 5 or 6 years, watch Black Christmas at some point in the Christmas season, as well as A Christmas Story. So you could kind of watch those back to back if you want and see how Bob Clark does as director.
Have you noticed yet any Christmas horror films coming out in 2025?
Not that I've noticed.
None have caught my eye yet. Silent Knife, was that one from last year or something?
Maybe. I was going to say one. I think it might be Canadian as well, but it's not Silent Night, Holy Night. It's Silent Night, Evil Night, or
Silent
something.
Night, Deadly Night.
Deadly Night. That's what it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
I did see that one.
And that's an interesting one too. And it was very controversial at the time. And this is something maybe we can just wrap up on this. Holiday horror is quite controversial because people get their knickers in a knot about holidays being a certain way. And so a lot of the people that I know who aren't horror movie fans are horrified by the idea of a Christmas horror film, whereas I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, they should go watch Terrifier 3 or something.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're up for our feature presentation.
Indeed.
This will be an interesting discussion.
I think so.
So we're looking at Frankenstein 2025. This is Guillermo del Toro's, well, some might call it his masterpiece. He's certainly been talking about it for years. He's a major fan of the novel and has been wanting to make this movie, I think, for a long time.
Apparently like 20 years.
Yeah, and he's been working on it, rewriting the script and all that kind of stuff, for something like 20 years.
My maker told his tale. And I will tell you mine.
So, our 2.5 hours, body horror, psychological horror, and gothic horror. 7.5 IMDb and 86 and 94% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Is 94 the audience or the critic?
I believe 94 is audience.
Really? I thought it'd be the inverse. I thought critics would think it was better than the audience.
I'm almost certain that I put the audience and then
Typically it goes, okay, yeah, that's just interesting.
Yeah. But I could be, I'm not going to die on that hill.
I'll look.
So Guillermo del Toro, the cast is Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein, Mia Goth as Elizabeth, Jacob Elordi as the creature, and Christoph Waltz as Harlander. Do I really need to tell you the story? Dr. Victor Frankenstein, a brilliant but egotistical scientist, brings a creature to life in a monstrous experiment that ultimately leads to the undoing of both the creator and his tragic creation. Oscar-winning director Guillermo del Toro adopts Shelley's classic tale. Okay, so we don't need to read the rest of that.
You were correct. That's the audience score is higher than the critics score.
Wow, that does surprise me.
That surprises me.
Yeah, because I agree with you. I would have suspected the opposite. Okay, so here's the critics' consensus. Finding the humanity in one of cinema's most iconic monsters, Del Toro's Frankenstein is a lavish epic that gets its most invigorating volts from Jacob Elordi's standout performance. Now, we've talked about this probably off camera. I was hesitant to choose this one. I watched this in two viewings or three viewings. I broke it up anyway because I'm not a big fan of sitting for 2.5 hours watching a film, as you may know if you've listened to any episodes. And so my first viewing, my only viewing so far, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this one. And I watched kind of a making of behind the scenes thing that kind of convinced me that it was worth talking about. First of all, because Del Toro is such a big name. Secondly, because Frankenstein is such a major franchise. I mean, from the original 1931 all the way through, it's just been one after another has been, for each kind of decade, you've had a Frankenstein. Kind of like Dracula. Those have been kind of the two mainstays, right? How do you feel about not necessarily the movie, but the story, the creature in general? Have you seen the original?
So that's interesting. I have almost no experience with Frankenstein, this story. So I never read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And I haven't seen a Frankenstein proper, I don't think. But I've seen Frankenstein and lots of other mashups. And, I'm very aware of Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster. But I don't know if the actual traditional story I've seen any of the classic iterations of anyways.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So I have no idea how much this... how faithful this is to either the book or the previous, was it the Kenneth Branagh version? Yeah,
so I think the three big ones that stand out in my mind, there's the original with Boris Karloff.
Yeah.
There's a Kenneth Branagh, which, speaking of egotistical, I love Kenneth Branagh's, some of his stuff, but some of it's just so over the top. And
does that film have a good reputation, do you know?
I don't think so. I think everybody believes that it was... Victor Frankenstein spends most of his time with his shirt off in that one,
right?
Because Branagh was in pretty good shape.
That sounds like Branagh.
Yeah. So, and of course, Robert De Niro was the monster in that one, which is an interesting pick. I don't think it was his bag to do that, but and then there's the Hammer, which is the 1960s, I believe, maybe late 50s, early 60s, The Curse of Frankenstein.
But it speaks to how prolific that story is, because despite me not encountering any of the official Frankenstein stories, I still feel like I knew everything about Frankenstein.
Absolutely.
Because it's in pop culture and so many different other places.
And I think that's always the beauty and the danger of making a film about something that's so well known and so embedded in society. You run the risk of alienating a lot of your audience if you reinterpret, which I think Del Toro has done here. I think he's pretty faithful to the story.
Yeah.
And we can talk about this later, I think where he changes or maybe adds to Shelley's story is the humanization of the creature. That's certainly there in the original Karloff version, but not to the same degree that it is here, I don't think.
Are you a fan of the story in the book?
Well, I've seen all the movies. I've read the book. I've taught the book. The book is slow going. It's like 1812, 1818. It's somewhere in there. I can't remember the exact date, 1817. Mary Shelley was young. I think she was 18, if I remember correctly, when she wrote the story.
Would you say it's a letdown for students? So they get excited, like, yeah, we're doing Frankenstein. And then they get into it and they realize, oh, this is not really like a monster.
There's some really slow bits, especially the stuff in the Arctic in the novel. And it's just the sentence structure and the syntax of the time is really hard for modern readers. I think most modern readers.
So if there's lots of slow bits, then this film is very faithful to the original book.
Sure.
Is that what you're saying?
Sure. Okay, so where would you like to? You've already played your hand about what you think about this movie.
So I'm curious. Like, I think we've done 100 episodes now over 8 seasons. I think maybe I can think of 3 episodes where you didn't criticize the movie for being too long.
Yeah.
So I was shocked that you went with one that was 2.5 hours, because
it's still a critique.
Right, but you seem to like I've heard you say so many times like, oh, I was going to watch this movie, but it was too long and I didn't want to. So I just found it fascinating that you were excited to choose this film when your pet peeve is long movies, and this is the longest one I think we've ever done on this podcast.
Maybe. I mean, there's been some close ones, but yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know if I was excited. As I mentioned, I was hesitant about should I do this or not.
I guess you watched it in 3 sittings.
Yeah, I split it up, but also as I watched it, there were just some things. I mean, I think partly what I was thinking is it's Del Toro. It's going to be a big movie for whether people like it or not, it's going to be a big release. Plus it's got, Waltz and Mia Goth.
The cast is stacked.
Yeah, the cast is great. Mm-hmm. And visually, Del Toro's a great storyteller, but I mean, we can get into some of those things. Maybe starting, I don't know, where do you want to start with performances?
Sure. I mean, I think off the top, I think of this as like a meh masterpiece.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like, I don't have much critique. Like, it is brilliant in so many different ways. And Del Toro is very talented in crafting an emotional story. And like, this is some of the most gorgeous filmmaking I've ever seen in my life. But it was so painful to get through, kind of, and I wasn't invested. And I'm curious, I'll bring this up later, but we can start wherever you want to start, I would say.
Well, I mean, the performances were great.
Really good.
I mean, Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein is fantastic, but for me, the absolute standout is the creature, Jacob Elordi.
Yeah.
And there were no prosthetics in terms of height. I mean, he is 6'5".
Yeah.
So
it was, sorry, who was the guy, Andrew Garfield?
Who was originally
supposed to,
yes.
And then he dropped out apparently quite late.
Yeah.
And they got Elordi there for like 6 weeks or something.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And they had to resculpt this suit and stuff because it was made for Andrew Garfield originally.
And there's quite high praise from Del Toro and Oscar Isaac about his ability. I mean, he's a young actor. He hasn't been in a lot of things. But there was his ability to emote as the creature through the prosthetics and the makeup is, I can't imagine how challenging that is. It's hard enough to emote when you don't have your body covered in prosthetics and stuff. But anyway, so he was outstanding. The one thing, I don't know if I'm going to call it a bother or not. I was excited that Mia Goth was in it because she's so good in everything. And she is good in this, but I think she's wasted. Like she doesn't have
much to do.
No, other than dress in period costume.
When you go from like Pearl and X and Maxine and I don't know, I think you and I commented last year that she was like the breakout, most exciting star in horror. And you see her name on this and you assume she's going to be, I agree. It's not her fault. Her acting is great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But not given much. I think that's fair.
And I wonder, I haven't seen any interviews or anything with her, but I wonder if she was willing to overlook the small part because she's played basically lead roles in so many movies.
Would you say the same for Christoph Waltz?
Yeah, I wondered if it was working with Del Toro.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll come back to Waltz because I have some very
like you see in Glorious Bastards, and he's just like
totally
so captivating to watch, and he's good in this. But his character is not as interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's my coming back to the 2.5 hour runtime. I think, blasphemous as it is, you could have cut all the Christoph Waltz parts, and that would probably cut 20 minutes out of the film.
Yeah.
Again, you could probably cut the Mia Goth parts. Although I will say, I think her importance is that through her character, we see the humanity of the creature.
Yeah, she's the vehicle through which the monster is able to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I see her as the role being pivotal in that sense, but I wish they had used her for more.
So here's the thought I had.
Okay.
It's ironic that I feel like Netflix is all about miniseries and television shows. And I think we were saying last time, like, oh, they should do more movies. But in this case, I almost felt like this might have been a good miniseries because there's very logical chapters. They even break it up between chapters between the monster and Frankenstein. And then you don't have to mentally prepare to sit through 2.5 hours, even though we both artificially broke it up. Would this not have been a really good, maybe? And he's done, was it Cabinet of Curiosities? Wasn't Guillermo del Toro a big part of that?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you think it would have been more accessible as a miniseries, like a 3-episode?
Yeah, I was just going to say, would you have said a 3-episode?
Yeah, definitely not a 10-episode thing.
No.
I almost feel like it's so logically broken up in chapters anyways. It might have been more palatable,
yeah, good point,
or digestible for an audience to do it as a miniseries, which Netflix specializes in, really.
Yeah, and I mean, arguably, if you go back to the 31,
Ooh, I might answer my own question. Zach, sorry.
the original was nowhere near this runtime, and it's iconic in terms of a film. So you can leave out a lot of the story and still have people enjoy the story.
Not much really happens.
No.
Like I watched a 20-minute recap in preparation just to like remind myself what happened. And I kind of enjoyed the recap.
Better than the movie.
I wish this was the movie. But you realize that like when they're walking through the plot points, not much happens in this movie. It's mostly just dialogue. And I don't know, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, but again, that's pretty true to the original.
Yeah.
Not much happens in the sense of it's a philosophically based novel, right?
Yeah.
It's that idea of just because we can do something, should we? And what is our responsibility when we create something?
Yeah.
One of the things, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, well, are we doing spoilers, or can you spoil this? I mean, there's certainly specific things about this film that I think we could spoil.
I think you can. I'm conscious that we have, I think, a younger audience in some cases.
So they may not.
Yeah, I think if you haven't read the book in school, then maybe this would be new. So let's not do plot spoilers.
Okay, I'll save that. I have a comment, but
now, to answer my own question from before, I found out that this movie cost $120 million to make, and apparently made $120,000 in theaters.
Whoa!
But apparently that was on purpose, because apparently Netflix, they produced this film, and they released it in as few theaters as possible.
Oh, yeah.
And they released it for 3 weeks. And do you know why 3 weeks?
No.
Because apparently that's the minimum requirement to be eligible for Oscars.
Ah, yes.
So that's why I'm thinking, that's why they didn't make it into a miniseries.
Yeah.
Because I think their game plan was, we're going to release it so it can win Oscars. We're going to bet that Del Toro is going to win us a bunch of Oscars, and then everyone's going to flock to Netflix when this wins Best Picture. So they're almost playing a long game, because I don't know how well this is doing on Netflix right now, but I think maybe their game plan is, if this can win a bunch of awards, then everyone's going to flock and they can get their subscriptions.
Well, that makes sense to me too when you look at the purchase of Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Because one of the criticisms is that Netflix isn't interested in having people go to the theater.
That's right.
They want you to subscribe. They want you to stream. So the caveat, the danger that people are worried about is, if Netflix buys Warner Brothers, especially the back catalog, you're not going to be going to the movies as much anymore. And as much as I love film, and I do enjoy the experience of seeing a movie in a theater, I don't know if that's the end of the world for me.
Well, you and I have had a lot of bad for every good experience we've had in the theater, I'd say we've had a bad one with like drunken teenagers and people being annoying.
Yeah, and just the whole phone thing and people talking and not being respectful and all that kind of stuff.
Trailers that ruin the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I'd much rather watch it at home with a drink by myself, where I can really pay attention and all those kinds of things. But
it feels wrong. Like, it hurts my heart to say that, and I'm a bit torn. But certainly, there's lots of experiences in theater that haven't been great. But then there's lots of experiences that are great.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm fortunate to have a 75-inch TV with surround sound. So for me, I get a theater-like experience at home. For a lot of people, I think a lot of people maybe watch films on their phone these days.
Oh, yeah. Or on your laptop or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this film you mentioned, this film is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the sets are unbelievable. The costume. And I don't know if you noticed, they had color palettes for each of the characters. Like Victor was red.
Yeah.
I think green was Mia Goth's character.
And Del Toro uses a lot of red and green. Was it Crimson Peak, I think, was very like evocative of that lighting hue.
So the costumes are great. The sets, the lab was absolutely stunning. Like, just so beautiful to look at.
And the landscapes as well. Like, it just popped. The colors. Yeah. The film is absolutely gorgeous. Like, I think it's one of the prettiest films I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just they would have been just as pretty in an hour and a half.
That's right. No, I totally agree.
2.5 hours.
So for once, you're agreeing with me that the film was too long.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I said gorgeous set design, the lighting, the cinematography, the costumes, the performances. Like, I think this should win Oscars. I would say it's probably fair. This is masterpiece level in terms of the craft, but I just found it.
I can see.
I had a hard time getting invested in it because I found it kind of boring.
I can see it. I don't think it's going to win Best Picture. Like, I can't see that. I can see it winning for technical things and possibly for acting.
Yeah.
Especially for Jacob Elordi.
Yes.
But I cannot see this getting Best Picture. I just can't. And I'm going to be, maybe I'll have to eat my words, but I just can't see it.
So here's the thought. I find maybe this is this a spoiler? Maybe it's a spoiler. I'll save it for the spoiler section.
I mean, we're coming up on half an hour. I don't have much more to say about what I liked about the film, but some of the things I'd like to talk about, maybe jump into spoilers. So
any negatives other than the fact that it was maybe long and a bit, did you find it slow? Did you find it hard to get through?
Yeah.
Okay. The CG, because I comment on this all the time, but I did look up that other people also found it very uneven and a bit distracting. So I think
specifically for you?
There was just lots of times where the CG to me was immersion breaking. Like when he's showing off that creature in the courtroom, to me, that looked pretty fake. And like some of the gore at the beginning, like they show his fingers, and it just, a lot of the gore things to me looked not good. Did you catch that at all? Did CG bother you?
No. And it'd be interesting to watch something with you where you point that out to me, and I'll like to see whether I can spot it as well, because I think the age gap, I'm used to seeing things that are pretty terrible.
Right.
Like growing up in the 80s, like just practical effects that were awful. Now, to be fair, I do recognize really bad CG. Yeah. If it's subtly bad, I think you have a better eye for that than I do. So,
and I think it stood out more here because the sets were so good and the costumes were so good. And so everything felt so and I think there was a lot of good practicals in here as well.
Oh, yeah.
And everything felt so authentic. So when there was a little bit of, in my opinion, like bad CG or obvious CG,
I mean, I think
took me out of it.
Anyway, so I have some ideas, but anything else you want to say before we get into spoilers?
Well, I'm curious, are you a fan of Del Toro, generally speaking? Like, which of his films have really resonated with you, if any?
I know I'm in the minority. I actually really like The Shape of Water.
Okay.
I did really like Pan's Labyrinth. I think I said this, I don't know if I said this to somebody else or to you, but I don't know if this was the vehicle for Del Toro's style of storytelling. Like if you look at the Shape of Water or Pan's Labyrinth or The Devil's Backbone or whatever, they are very different stories than the Frankenstein text. And I think his way of telling a story is better in those kinds of films. I don't know if his style was suited to this kind of gothic film.
Right. Yeah, he's interesting. Like, I don't know if I'm really a fan of any of his films in terms of like, oh, I really love that movie, or oh, I want to go back and watch that. But I kind of appreciate them all. Like Crimson Peak, Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy, Shape of Water. They're all great films when I look at them from a craft perspective. But when I emotionally think back about it, none of them did much for me. Even Pan's Labyrinth was cool visually, but I didn't. I don't know. Yeah, none of his films have really hit me that hard. Maybe Shape of Water a bit more.
I liked Hellboy for what it was.
Yeah, they're all fine.
Yeah.
They're good, but they're not. I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, like I love that movie. Like that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas when a lot of the other horror directors we talk about, I have ones that I'm like, yeah, I really love that film, and that's one of my favorites. And these ones, like, yeah, these are all really well done, but none of them emotionally really. I wouldn't want to go back and watch any of these.
I mean, I've watched Hellboy a few times. I've watched Pan's Labyrinth a couple times. I've only watched Crimson Peak once, and I think Shape of Water once. Yeah, I think I would probably be in the same camp as you, that I appreciate his filmmaking and his storytelling, but his movies are not real grabbers for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because I can totally acknowledge how amazing he is.
Yeah.
And his stuff jumps off the screen like almost no one else.
Yeah.
Like it is gorgeous. But yeah, none of the movies have much impact on me on an emotional level. So
I wondered when I was watching the little making of, because he was apparently, quite a comic fan when he was younger. And I often wonder, because I wasn't a comic book fan, I always read novels. And I wonder if that shapes your vision, your storytelling, your idea of what things should look like, because I was not used to seeing things visually on the page. I was used to just reading words. Yeah. So I wondered sometimes, because he was a fan, and I know there are other filmmakers who were big comic book fans, I wonder if that alters in a good way kind of how you see the world and how you would make a film.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because it's interesting that Guillermo del Toro gets lumped in with the horror genre.
Yeah.
But all of his stories are more drama, more emotional, almost romance in many cases. So like, I don't think any of his works are very visceral or even scary. Like, they are
unsettling maybe, but not scary.
Yeah, like creepy imagery and stuff. But none of these, I don't think anyone would be like, oh yeah, that was a really scary horror film.
No, this was not scary at all. Although,
and this one isn't either, I don't think.
No.
Like, this one is horror. I mean, Frankenstein's a horror story. So it's like weird horror.
Yeah. Yeah.
That science, like mad experimenter. Is that like weird?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Genre?
It's interesting. It's a good point, because I think the story itself was never meant to be horror. I think it got lumped into that because of the Gothic time that it was written, and because of the Gothic approach that many filmmakers have done. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, certainly the original story wasn't a horror. I mean, the only thing I can think of in Del Toro's work, like there were some things in Pan's Labyrinth, like the tall man with the eyes, like for me, not only creepy and unnerving, but a little bit scary too. I mean, not jump scare, James Wan scary, but it had that effect. But yeah, he's a really interesting filmmaker for exactly, what you said. The stories are good, the visuals are good, the production's good, all that stuff is good, but it never seems to come together as a like, wow, that was so awesome.
Exactly. That's how I feel. Like, every individual metric is great. Yet I was pretty excited for it to be over, and it wasn't very grip. I don't know. It's so interesting. And I feel like that's maybe a Del Toro thing. But if you're watching this, I'd be curious to, in the comments, say what your favorite Del Toro movie is, if you love it, any of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'd be interesting to get some perspective there.
But for me, it's stunningly gorgeous.
Absolutely.
And the sets are so good, and the costumes were so good, and the acting was so good. Yet
they just don't come together to create something that blows you away.
But a 95% audience. That's why I'm shocked, because I thought more people would have found it slow and kind of boring, which I have a slight hypothesis about. But
and maybe, I mean, I don't know, maybe old farts like me are just used to shorter run times, and maybe younger audiences are just used to 2+ hour films, and that's just their norm.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, my norm was 90 minutes. And if you go past that, you better knock my socks off.
I want to jump off that idea, but it involves a spoiler. So should we go into?
Let's go into spoilers.
Interesting, though. Do you recommend Frankenstein?
I'm going to say yes for the sheer movie making, all the beautiful stuff, the cinematography, the costumes, the sets, all of that stuff, and even for Jacob Elordi's performance.
Yeah.
I think it's worth seeing for that. I'm not going to say if you're a horror fan, you're going to love the film as a horror film.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I think you have to go into this with the right expectations. So do not expect horror. I also think it's worth considering watching this in multiple sittings. Like,
yes,
the film actually artificially does break up into chapters, I believe.
Yeah.
So it might make sense to watch chapter 2 one night and chapter 3 the night after.
It certainly made for easier viewing for me. I didn't feel like I had to sit through the whole thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the craft is undeniable. So yeah, it's a cautious recommend, but I would say go in expecting a drama rather than a horror film.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Spoilers. Spoilers. Okay. Okay.
So I just had an upcoming thing spoiled for me.
Okay, you go first.
So here's my spoiler.
Yeah.
I think I'm just really bored of the theme, because I think this idea of humanizing a monster has been done so many times. And maybe it makes sense that he thought about this 20 years ago.
Right.
But I feel like I've seen this film so many times that I'm just bored of the idea of humanizing a monster. So I made a list: Edward Scissorhands, King Kong, Shape of Water, The Iron Giant, Beauty and the Beast, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Let the Right One In, Hellboy, District 9, E.T., The Fly. All of those films have this recurring idea of...
It's a good list.
Yeah, they're all good movies. But in 2025, having seen all of these, I'm not emotionally invested in his main theme, which is the idea that we're going to have a sympathetic monster who we're going to like grow to love throughout the film. And it's a monster, but but he's human. That's just so boring to me. Like, I've seen that movie so many times. So to sit through 2.5 hours of something that's telling that same tale. And when you spoke to the younger generation, maybe if you're 18, you haven't seen all these movies. Yeah. And so that's a new theme to you. So I wonder if a younger audience, this would resonate more, because that idea might be novel. But if you've seen all these movies, did you find that at all? Like, are you bored of that idea? Because on the one hand, it's like, sure, I get why it's an interesting theme.
Yeah. I don't know that I am, to be honest. But what I do wonder about, and I haven't seen anyone mention this, although I haven't done an exhaustive search, did we need another Frankenstein movie almost 100 years after the original? Like, it's been done so many times in so many different ways. Yes, it's been a thing for Del Toro. He's wanted to do it his whole life. Yes, he had a different take. Yes, he does some things a little bit differently. But like Victor's brother, in the novel or in the novella, he's a child. In this one, he changes that to what end? Like, do we need the brother?
Now, could you argue, though, there's not been a remake of Frankenstein in a long time?
Sure, you could, yeah.
Like, when was the Kenneth Branagh one from?
That's 90s, like 91, 92. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's a long time ago.
So, like, in the world of remakes, maybe this is actually, like, I feel like there's lots of spin-offs, like, of Frank Bride of Frank, or what was the one?
There was Lisa Frankenstein last year.
So there's been lots of other but like the proper Frankenstein story maybe was overdue.
Maybe
in a world where everything gets remade at some point.
In a world. Maybe it's this generation's Frankenstein, just like Kenneth Branagh's was one, and the 60s was another. Like, it's almost 30 years between each major Frankenstein.
And this would be the best in terms of craft.
Okay, craft, yes.
Right.
Like, I'm a big fan of the original.
The Hammer one.
No.
Oh.
No, the original 1931.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Okay.
And I am a fan of the Hammer one as well. I just think they do some really interesting things. I mean, I think I'm a bit of a fan of the Hammer films because of what they do with such a limited budget. And also, like, they had so little time. Sometimes, like, we're talking weeks to shoot a film. The end result is unbelievable. Like, for the money they had and the time they had, but they also had Christopher Lee and the other guy. I can't remember his name.
Christopher Lee's great.
He is. Oh, that's terrible. I should remember his name. Anyway, it'll probably come to me. So I wanted to come back to, this is along the lines of, you're talking about humanizing the monster. What I think part of the thing that was different in this one, at least to my mind, is that the creature overtly says to Victor that he forgives him.
Yep.
But again, that comes to the idea of, okay, do we really need to see, like, is it more
for a 2.5 hour movie of one line of dialogue? I don't know if that totally redeems the idea.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're right. There's a slightly unique iterative take, because maybe that part of it hasn't been done. The forgiveness angle, when I look at these, maybe they have, but at first glance, I can't. Yeah, like Beauty and the Beast, or the Beast doesn't forgive Gaston or something, I guess. I mean, I have to say that I do like that part of Del Toro's take, because if you go back and look at certainly the Hammer one, but also the Kenneth Branagh one, Victor Frankenstein, just like in the original novel, is so arrogant and so full of himself and his own ideas, and
he's going to move humanity forward with his ideas. Now, this Victor starts that way.
Yeah.
But he's humbled over the course of the film. And by the end, I think this is the only time I've seen this in a Frankenstein film where Victor takes responsibility and says, I shouldn't have done what I did. Like, I'm paraphrasing.
No, you're right. That's a nice angle.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's not just humanizing the monster, but I also like how they allow the monster or the creature to grow over the course of the film. Arguably, some other films do that. But if you look, so for example, if you look at the Hammer one, Christopher Lee plays the creature, and he's just a ball of rage wanting to kill things.
Yeah.
This one, this creature is not just trying to kill everything in its path.
No, definitely not.
In fact, like there's a scene where he meets an old man and they have a blind old man, so he can't see him. And it's kind of like, is the original, you said you haven't seen the original, right? I thought, if I'm remembering correctly, there's a blind girl in the original. And so that's why she's not afraid of him or whatever. But yeah, I just feel like, yeah, okay, that's a different take. And I liked, certainly there's a great connection between Oscar Isaac and Jacob Elordi. Like, I think there's a great chemistry between the two.
Sure. Yeah. Performances are great. And there is more nuance in this one than other ones.
Yeah. I mean, I guess coming back to what I said earlier about the Christoph Waltz thing, you know, they use him as a character to set up the idea that Frankenstein has his financing and he'll have whatever he wants. And then I don't know if this threw you for a loop or not. When what's his name? Harlander, something.
Yeah, it's got a Harlander.
Yeah, Harlander, I think. When you see him, you know, he's revealed that he's got stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
And he wants like
to be part of the beast. Yeah.
Really? Like, why? Why do we need that? And I questioned when I saw that scene. It was like, do we need this character at all? Victor could have come up with his money any possible number of ways. It, to me,
was it your understanding that was his play all along?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You mean for Waltz's character?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's basically giving Frankenstein carte blanche to do what he wants, but he has an ulterior motive for doing that. Yeah, I just don't think. Now, it would have been a completely different movie. I guess you have to have some secondary characters, but I mean, the brother, useless. Mm-hmm. Other than as the brother is dying, he challenges Victor about his own hubris.
Yeah, is that a weakness of the film? Maybe that the secondary characters are
they're just cardboard,
not that interesting. Yeah. Like, the brother, Mia Goth, Christoph Waltz, they're fine, but it's mostly about Victor Frankenstein and the monster and no one else. Maybe was that interesting?
Yeah, or I mean, not even interesting, but didn't seem to have much to do in the film, right? And you know, I guess arguably you could say, well, we couldn't just have two characters. We couldn't just have Victor and the creature.
No, but that's where he maybe invested all of his passion. Yeah. And then we need these other ones as vehicles for other things to achieve what we're trying to achieve with the two main characters.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know how accurate he was trying to be, but if you're already going to do some different things like change the age of the brother, and I don't remember this Harlander character he might have been a different name in another novel, but
his brother was very underdeveloped as a child too. Like, they're like, oh yeah, he loved him, but it was like 3 seconds.
And was it convincing to you, the opening of the film with Victor as a young boy and his overbearing father and the death of his mother? I assume that's to set up what Victor becomes later.
Yeah, it provides some context, but not that I wanted the movie to be longer, but maybe they could have traded some other scenes to develop that more. Like him and his mother are playing a game or something for a few minutes, but their relationship was pretty superficial in terms of what was shown. I think it's mostly implied. So maybe that would have helped a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It does develop some context, but do you get, other than the fact that, I mean, I think at one point
there's not much emotion.
No,
because they haven't developed those characters or those relationships enough. other than just the idea of him losing his mom.
And I mean, I've mentioned it already, but I think Mia Goth could have been used to better effect in the film. And that would have meant rewriting her character to some degree from what we see in the novel.
Yeah, that X trilogy just showed her range so much that she just seems so static.
Yeah, and just so stilted in this one. Even what was the one with Skarsgård and the that was good. She was unbelievable in that.
Oh, what is that called? Yeah, she was.
I mean, because I can remember just like her ability to go from like 0 to 100.
That was a Brandon Cronenberg.
Yeah.
The name escapes me.
I can't remember. Yeah. It was very creepy. But yeah, just her ability to turn on a dime and be, like engaging or whatever, and then be absolutely terrifying the next second.
Yeah.
There's just, you don't see any of that. You just see a lame Elizabeth in, 19th century clothing.
They could have had anyone do that role, I think. Like she did as good as you could do for that role.
Yep.
But yeah, there wasn't a whole lot there. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Just that core idea. I feel like at its heart, it's, Dr. Frankenstein is ironically kind of the monster, and the monster you sympathize with and you build his humanity and he's sensitive and all those things. That theme I'm just bored of, even though they did do a few unique things with it.
Yeah, fair.
But to sit through 2.5 hours, I think too, maybe like just for context, this time of year is super busy and draining as teachers. We're like writing report cards. It's almost Christmas. Like my brain and I'm just done. So what I wanted to watch this time of year was not this.
You wanted to watch a Nicolas Cage film? I'm sorry I didn't give that to you.
I was a little bit sad when you said Frankenstein because I just wanted something mindless. I could just like gore and I don't know. So I think at a different time of year, maybe I would have, this one would have landed a little bit better. This is probably the worst time of year for me to sit down and want to sit through like a 2.5 hour like drama about.
Did you feel that way about the sort of Boxing Day release or Christmas release of Nosferatu, or did you have enough of a break before that was released that?
Yeah, and I think Eggers is a little bit edgier.
100%.
And it feels like more horror and Nosferatu. No, I was more excited for that one.
Yeah, fair.
I think partly I'd heard that this one was like a slower, more drama, not much horror. And it was long. So I think I knew what I was in for, and this is what I was in for.
So
it met my expectations.
Well,
it exceeded maybe in terms of the craft.
What would you, so you're the filmmaker, or Del Toro comes to you and says, okay, I think this film is too long. What am I going to do to change it? How am I going to cut down the runtime? Let's just say from 2.5 to 2. Let's not go 90 minutes. Let's say 2 hours.
Yeah.
What would you cut?
I think I was pretty engaged. So I think the beginning is good with the ship and all that.
Yeah.
I like the part with him as a kid, and I like him. There was a lot of dialogue between him. Honestly, it's a lot of this stuff with him and Mia Goth, I think, and the brother. And Christoph Waltz, like that middle chapter dragged quite a bit. And then when we go to the monster's perspective to the end, I think is pretty good.
I thought it was good.
But I was really burnt out. Like I was like, oh, seriously, there's a whole other chapter with a monster now? Because I think, and like him doing the courtrooms, I don't know. Yeah, that middle chapter when he is first the doctor doing his experimenting, but like, just the dialogue between all those characters, I feel like could have been edited down probably if I was to cut some. How about you?
Yeah, like I say, I mean, probably Waltz's character I would have just got rid of completely. I just didn't think there was any need to have. You could have done it another way to get where you want to be. And I think I said this to you too. Why do you have to have him be interested in his brother's fiance? Like, why have to have that weird love triangle thing?
Yeah, I think that's what bogged it down for me. Because it's very peripheral to what's happening in the main story. And you could still have had a sympathetic female character as the vehicle to humanize the monster.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. At that, when those scenes start happening, it just drags the film down because it has some momentum and then it kind of almost halts and then builds up momentum again.
Because I was into it at the beginning, actually. It was that part that really bogged down.
Yeah,
the other part too, actually, now I think about it, the where Dr. Frankenstein is talking with like the ship captain.
Yeah.
there's a lot of scenes of those two talking, which I don't actually think is that necessary.
No, I think that's trying to be true to the original.
Okay.
Where, he chases the creature into the Arctic, and there's a whole, and I found it slow in the original. I mean, it's one of the parts that was like, okay, but it kind of, I think it's that idea of the creature is going to go to the ends of the earth to get Victor, right? I mean, it's demonstrating what the creature is willing to do, or what Victor's willing to do to kill the creature.
Yeah. The other thing, maybe I didn't like the at the beginning when the monster is fighting the sailors, and he's kind of like swats them. They like fly like really far away, like that kind of floaty. I would have preferred him to be like really visceral, like ripping them apart.
Yeah,
and,
that
like,
would have been awesome.
More grounded. Like I found him just like toss. It looked really fake the way that these bodies are like being hurled in the air for like hundreds of feet. Something about that didn't really work for me. I was like, not really enjoying this iteration of the monster. I think had he just been really ruthless and brutal and gory, like just tear him in pieces, might have made him more. Maybe they're worried about making him too monstrous because they're trying to humanize him.
Yeah.
But
because you would have lost sympathy for him if he's just tearing people apart, right?
Yes. But I would have preferred that.
Yeah, would have made for a more interesting creature, but kind of defeats the purpose of humanizing him.
But I would love to know, as audience members, like, did you enjoy this? Love this? 95% audience, or am I crazy? Was I?
Yeah, or just burnt out? Yeah,
yeah. Like, is this slow and boring, or was this really engaging and great?
It'd be also. I'm also interested if you feel like making a comment. If you've seen some of the other Frankenstein renditions, how did this one stand up for you? Did you like the original better? Have you seen the Hammer film? Have you seen the Branagh film? And if so, if you've seen one of those or all of them, how do you think it stands up to Del Toro's? So
if you could recommend one Frankenstein film to go watch, which one is it?
The original.
Okay.
I mean, it's going to be a hurdle for some people with the black and white and all that kind of stuff. And it's melodramatic, the 1930s and the acting style. But if you can get over that, it's got some iconic scenes. I mean, he's alive. That scene, I think it's worth watching just for that. But also to see Karloff's performance, to see how they did what they did, because that was Universal's biggest monster film. Mm-hmm. I mean, Dracula, I think, came close. I'd say that's the one. Like I said, I'm a big Hammer fan, and I like The Curse of Frankenstein, but I think the original is the way to go. Okay. So you need to go see that.
Yeah, I should. Yeah.
And don't forget,
it's not 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah, no. not even, I think it might just be under 90 minutes, actually.
Amazing. Okay.
And don't forget about holiday horror. If you have some holiday horror favorites, that would also be a fun thing to put in the comments. And maybe we haven't seen it, and it'd be nice to go back and watch some things that I haven't seen.
Yeah, so this is our last official episode for season 8, but we will bring you our top 10 of 2025.
Indeed, we are working on that right now, and I think we're both struggling a little bit with. Did it feel to you that this year wasn't as strong a year as other years, and yet when I look at the films that I'm trying to create for my top 10, there were a lot of pretty strong films.
Yeah, I did feel like this year was a bit of a step down in terms of films I was really into. But yeah, I think there's still a lot there.
Like, I mean, there were things that came up that wasn't on my radar, like Weapons that I went to see, like things like that. Like, I didn't know I knew some of the re-release or some of the sequels that were coming out.
Yeah. I feel like there was a lot of films with horror elements, but maybe like the really like dark, intense, scary,
there's no
knock your socks off horror films. There wasn't as many of those, but there was lots of other kind of interesting things happening. But
Terrifier 4 next year, though.
That's right. And Wolf.
Yes. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have to say. So hopefully, I don't think we'll see you before Christmas. Actually, I know we won't see you before Christmas. So if we don't, I hope you have a great Christmas.
Yeah, have a great Christmas.
Great holiday. Watch some horror as well as your holiday films. I've got some Christmas things lined up, like A Christmas Story and Home Alone and those kinds of things. So watch some of those with your family, but also take some time for yourself and watch some
good horror.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So until next time.
We'll see you in the aisles.